This is the second time that the Tate brothers have been criminally charged for things that I can't even say right now, otherwise the video will be demonetized. Unfortunately, the top G alpha sigma male is back in the headlines.
See? You are weird. I'm gonna find you and peg you, Andrew Tate.
The man who spread on YouTube Shorts and TikTok like a cancer for well over a year. And I was gonna say that this is good news because him and his brother are being charged, but the charges are not good. Here it is loud and clear. Andrew Tate and brother Tristan charged with, there you go, and human trafficking in the UK. And it's not just those two specific charges. As a matter of fact, Andrew Tate is facing 10 charges connected to 3 victims, including that, actual bodily harm, human trafficking, and controlling prostitution for gain. And his brother Tristan is facing a measly 11 charges connected to 1 victim, including that, actual body harm, and human trafficking. 21 charges between the two of them. And you might be thinking to yourself, hey, isn't this old news? Weren't they accused of literally the same stuff just like a year or two back? Yes, they were, and it was completely separate. Those charges happened in Romania, and Andrew Tate and his brother ended up fleeing over to the UK as well as the United States, and I'm assuming all of that fleeing was an effort to avoid having to deal with this. But they're now having to face the music. As a matter of fact, if we jump over to this article here, they actually make mention and specifically notate what is going to happen in regard to the Romanian charges that they faced. Now, these charges that we're talking about today were authorized in January of 2024, but the full details have only been released just now. So the Bedfordshire police issued an international arrest warrant for the brothers over allegations which they unequivocally deny said to have occurred between 2012 and 2015. The Tate brothers are facing separate allegations of trafficking minors, sexual intercourse with them, and money laundering in Romania. So again, those are some of the other charges that they were facing in Romania. And so far, what I've been able to glean is that the charges that they have in Romania are going to be taking priority, and so they'll be facing those charges in Romania first, which means, if I understand this correctly, they're being extradited to Romania to deal with those charges, and then after that, they'll be extradited to the UK to face the new charges that we've recently found out about. Now, when we're specifically talking about Romania, you guys might even remember a lot of footage of them being on house arrest and them talking about that while they were in Romania. Now, they were under house arrest in Romania in connection to an investigation that was looking into them having human trafficking and forming a criminal gang to sexually exploit women. Now, the Romanian authorities indicted the Tate brothers back in 2023, and so that's what put them on house arrest. And that's when they were crying and weeping about having their very nice cars and watches and like $300 million in crypto being confiscated. That was why.
Weeks after police came for their owner, they returned for his cars. The power of a Ferrari paralysed in the grip of a dowdy police truck. Insurance against any future compensation claims from victims, but also a sign that investigators here are confident.
Whatever the truth about life behind these walls, its secrets are now being scrutinised by investigators. This fleet of luxury cars, the toys of a successful businessman, or the proceeds of a trafficking ring.
Really quick though, I need to flip a coin. Go ahead, you know the drill, call it heads or tails. 3, 2, 1. There we go. It is tails, ladies and gentlemen. That is tails. It's hard to see, but it's a weird quarter. Now, if you called tails, congratulations. You have to subscribe now. You are obligated to subscribe. You don't want to? You don't want to, little baby? You don't want to? Maybe you should have asked before I flipped the coin. And if you got heads, that means you lost, which means you have to subscribe. It's a win-win for me, a win-win for you. Subscribing to me is awesome. And if you don't subscribe, you're a loser. On a serious note, if you made it this far, thank you for sticking around. You're the reason I get to do this, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Now, something happened during that process, and it specifically notates here. In December of 2024, a Romanian appeals court ruled that the human trafficking case against the Tates could not go to trial due to several legal and procedural irregularities from the prosecutors, per the Associated Press. The case has since been returned to the prosecutors and remains open. And then in February here, 2025, they came to the United States, which caused a bit of the stir in Florida. The governor there was not happy about it.
Clearly, the federal government has jurisdiction, whether they want to rebuff his entry into the United States, and I have confidence that whether it's Pam Bondi or Kristi Noem, that they will be looking at that. But the reality is no, Florida is not a place where you're welcome. with that type of conduct in the air. And I don't know how it came to this. We were not involved. We were not notified. I found out through the media that this was something that was happening.
But even in this older article, you can see mention of what we're talking about today, which is the records that were made public about the UK arrest warrant relating to alleged sexual aggression charges. And that leads us to today, where they've been officially charged with these 21 charges. Like I said earlier, including rape, actual body harm, human trafficking, and controlling prostitution for gain, as well as his brother Tristan facing 11 charges. Now I'm curious to hear what you guys think, and I mean that because they haven't, from what I understand, they haven't actually been charged with anything successfully. Like, they haven't actually been completely prosecuted yet, even with the charges that have been starting back as far as 2023. I just went ahead and double checked. In total, combined, Andrew and his brother Tristan Tate, they have approximately 29 charges that are being held against them. And that's including Romanian charges, which they each have about 4 to 5. And then the 21 charges that have just been brought against them that we at least now know about. But that's the issue. They haven't actually been prosecuted of any of these crimes. I mean, technically, with the right to a fair trial, it could be that they're not guilty of any of these. That is really hard for me to buy. Admittedly, it's very difficult for me to think that they are going to be coming out of this scot-free. I think if you get charged with rape, assault, human trafficking, assembling a gang of sorts to sexually exploit women, prostitution exploitation, which is crazy, by the way. I feel like when you get past maybe 2 or 3 charges, we're kind of erring on the side of, well, you probably did it. You probably definitely did it, maybe, allegedly. I'm just a little doubtful, right? Like, how does an innocent guy, how does an alpha male Sigma top G get accused and charged with rape twice, right? Right.
If you're living in the Western world, this is probably 40% of the reason I moved to Romania.
In an online video, Andrew Tate said he moved to Romania in 2017 in part for what he saw as its relaxed approach to sexual assault claims.
That's my 2 cents. Again, I'm interested to hear what you guys think. I hope we have some lawyer that stumbles across this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. So hopefully we'll get this all figured out and then they can get put in prison wherever they need to go. Of course, first they're going to face their charges in Romania, and then they have to deal with twice as many, a little bit more than twice as many in the UK. And if not just for the women who have been allegedly abused by these 2 brothers in all of the various ways that they're being charged for, getting them sentenced and sent to whatever prison they end up, it's not only going to protect future women from potentially being victims of these 2 men, allegedly, supposedly, but it'll also keep them off of my TikTok and YouTube shorts. But that brings us to a close on this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to leave a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys later. Adios, peace, bye.